Every time we go out for a run and our foot hits the ground, our feet are absorbing 2 to 3 times your body weight. Now, that's a lot of footsteps, especially over the course of that run. Think about how much weight we're absorbing in our feet. That's a lot. So why, when we get down on the ground to work on our mobility and our strength, do we really only focus on the bigger muscle groups, such as our quads, hamstrings, and glutes? When our feet are absorbing all that impact, they're the first line of defense to really help spread out that impact throughout the body. So we need to give them some love. So that's why the shoes are coming off. We're gonna get down on the mat and I'm gonna show you the best ways to have nice, happy, healthy feet. This way. Okay. I'm like, yo, I don't think it's a lot. The first thing we're gonna start off with is some toga, some toe yoga. We're gonna get a little flexibility and dexterity in these toes. So you're gonna lose me for just a second here. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on pushing these 4 toes, back 4 toes, down into the ground, just picking up our big toe. Now at first you might really try to struggle with this and think, wow, it's just not moving at all here. But really try to focus. You can even kind of keep your hands here for just a second until you get the sensation of it, but picking that big toe up as high as you can and pressing it back down. It's funny, the first couple times you do this, you'll probably see your pointer fingers going up, raising, because you're really trying to work there. But just bringing them up. And you can just do this for a couple minutes, alternating. Maybe you can try both at the same time. Then you can kind of wiggle them out there. And I painted my toenails just for you guys today. Then you're gonna focus on pushing just the big toes down and raising up these back 4. This one for me is a little bit trickier, so let's see. There we go. Pushing that big toe down, lifting up the little guys. Woo! And you might think that looks easy, but I challenge you guys to give this a try here. And this is something super simple that you guys can work on. You can do it while brushing your teeth, doing the dishes, things like that. But try for about 1 to 2 minutes on each one of these. A lot of the times, instead of working on strengthening and getting our feet more flexible, we tend to put them in higher cushion shoes thinking that's what's going to protect them from the ground. Really, these type of workouts are going to ensure that we're strengthening our feet and giving them mobility. With this, you're also working on a little bit of dexterity, which anytime that you have more control over your muscles, especially in your feet, it's gonna help you when you're landing. You're gonna know where you're landing. You're gonna know how to control those feet. All right, next up, we are gonna grab, I have a lacrosse ball here. You can use a tennis ball, you can use a golf ball, whatever you want. I like a lacrosse ball since it's got a little bit of push to it, but it's firm enough that's gonna get the job done. We are gonna be focusing on rolling out the bottom of our feet here. Now, if you notice, our feet are shaped the way that they are in this arch form to help absorb that impact. So every single time our foot hits the ground, it's flexing like that. It's meant to do that to absorb the impact, but especially if you're running a lot, that's a lot of movement there, and that fascia underneath the arch can get really worn out. So we're doing this today to really help bring it back to life and give a little bit of flexibility in there. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start underneath that big toe with the lacrosse ball. And now I'm down on the ground here. You can be sitting on a chair while you're doing this to take a little bit of pressure off, or you can be standing up to add a little bit more pressure, but I'm gonna stay down here on the ground with you guys today. I'm gonna start with this underneath my big toe, and I'm gonna get up to add a little bit more pressure here. And I'm gonna slowly start to go down from my big toe all the way to my heel on the outermost portion of that arch there. And anytime I start to feel a little space that gives me some pushback, I'm gonna start to raise up my toes and curl them under, just helping that kind of relax in there and stretch it out. So I'm gonna go up and down all the way to the heel, moving slightly more inward towards the pinkies, flexing, extending, making sure to breathe, trying to keep relaxed here as you do this, especially if it's the first time. This might feel a little bit painful. And I'm gonna work all the way back and forth until I get to the other side. Once I do that, I'm then gonna come up to the top portion here and work underneath my toes. For me, I need a little bit more pressure here, so I'm gonna lean into that foot and kind of hitting each toe at the joint right underneath, working that down here. For me specifically, this toe's been giving me some issues. So once I get over there, I'm gonna really start to bring those toes up and curl underneath, working underneath each of the joints there. And you can practice that for about a minute or so, or a couple of minutes or so underneath each foot. Really just kind of sit down, focus, breathe, and give those feet what they need. Another great way to work on that foot strength is we are gonna grab ourselves a towel, and preferably we're gonna find ourselves a pretty slippery floor here. If you want a little extra resistance, you can do it on something a little bit harder. But what I'm gonna do here, place my heel down, and I'm just gonna be focusing on taking my toes and scrunching that towel towards, and I'm gonna try to get that towel all the way to the end. Focusing on grabbing and pulling, really flexing all those toes there. Not just incorporating my big toe, because my tendency will just be to use these ones here, but really focusing on even little pinky doing some work there, and grabbing and scrunching all the way in, shaking it out, and going on to the next one. Making sure that your feet are strong is going to help prevent injuries such as plantar fasciitis, shin splints, and potentially even stress fractures going up the shin. So an exercise like this, where you're really pulling and gripping with those toes, is not only working the toes, but working all up the front of the shin here. So that's gonna help prevent those injuries as well. All right, it's time to put these feet in motion. We're gonna be walking on our tippy toes and going into some calf raises. So when we push up to go onto our tippy toes, the tendency may be to push out to the side if we're not strong and flexible in this big toe. So making sure we're pressing up directly in the middle there, pressing up as high as we can, walking on those tippy toes. We'll walk for about 15 seconds there, dropping down on those heels, making sure we're pushing up through that big toe into 15 calf raises. Working on a little bit of balance there as well too, making sure you're trying to push up really nice and high each time. We're also getting to work those calves a little bit, so really help prevent any of those injuries we talked about earlier. Now, if you can take advantage of a nice grassy area like we can, there's nothing better for your feet than doing a couple strides in the grass. I want you guys to start off with 5 15-second strides, nice and easy in the grass, and build your way up to a little bit longer and a few more reps as you get more confident in it. Now, we really only talked about strengthening those feet just a little bit today, so if you have more questions on how to strengthen the lower legs and the feet and everything else, go ahead and check out our app over here, download it, it's completely free, and we have tons of different workouts. I'll see you guys in there. Taking a photo of whoever's over there. Oh yeah, like I could be like this right here if I'm smiling, but I could totally be taking a picture of you, you'd have no idea. Because I'd be like, the shoes are coming off, but that's gonna hit me in the head.